I want to address the question, what if a creditor continues to call after I send out, or after help sends out a cease and desist letter, okay? And I just got off the phone with a lady, a client of help's that was getting some phone calls. So I'll explain this. Okay, so the law that governs debt collectors is called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. It was passed back in 1974. Has a lot of provisions, and one of them is if you send what's called a cease and desist letter, a debt collector can no longer call or send demand letters to that person anymore. And if the person's represented by an attorney, the debt collector has to communicate with the attorney and not the person. And that's the law that helps operates under, that we send letters to people's creditors and to ask leave them alone. However, the law technically does not apply to an original creditor. So let's give an example. Let's say it's a MasterCard or a Visa with a bank. Okay. So if that hasn't been turned over for collection, that's still an original creditor. And we send cease and desist letters to those companies all the times, and they'll honor our letter. Even though they're original credit, they will not call the client anymore. They stop it. And they will send a bill, okay? And if you don't want to get a bill, we tell our clients either do a change of address to have the bill go to your name, care of helps in our address, or if you get an email bill, just have it go to helps at our email address, so you don't even need to get an email if you don't want to, or you can throw it in the garbage can. But this is where the problem crops up, okay? If it's a payday loan, or it's a high interest lender, okay? So this client had a loan called Tower Loans, and a bunch of other, 3 or 4 other ones, little finance companies that charge 30, 40, 50% interest. Okay, she didn't have a payday loan, but it had a bunch of these really high interest loans. Sometimes they'll give us the name and address of the lender, and we'll send our cease and desist letter, and they'll totally ignore that, and they'll continue to call the client. Okay. It's not illegal for them to do that. Okay, so it doesn't happen very often. A lot of times they will honor our letter and they'll stop bothering them, but sometimes they'll just do it. They might be on some type of rotary dial so that that company will dial numbers, and if someone picks up, then someone will get on the line. So what do you do if you get those kind of calls and you don't want to get them? It's pretty easy. One thing, and we all get calls from different people that we don't want to hear from, or from solicitor or something. When you get the call and there's no one answers the phone right away, boom, you can push hang up and know that that's some type of someone that's trying to reach you, that's some on rotary dial and they're trying to reach you. You don't need you don't need to answer the call. Technically, if they call and they say they're from this company that we've already sent a letter to, you don't need to talk to them. You can just push the button, hang up, okay? They may call back. You need to push the button, hang up. You could try blocking the call. Now, I'm 71. I don't know how to block a call. So I could learn if I wanted to block a call. I'd get on the internet how to block a call. And different phones have different procedures for blocking a call. That may not work all the time because they may call from a different number, okay? The lady I talked to, I told her, it doesn't happen very often, but sometime if you get someone that's really, really mean or egregious, or if you're really susceptible to this kind of stuff, I'll say, consider just getting a different cell phone number. It's not that difficult, okay? I've had my cell phone for a long time. I guess it'd be a hassle, but if you think about it wouldn't be that difficult for me to give the really important people in my life a new cell phone number. and I could do that pretty easily. Might make my life easier. I get fewer cell phone calls, and you might consider that. But normally these high interest outfits will give up if they do get through to you and you're tempted to call them. And you're represented by Helps. You can say, contact my attorney at Helps. Here's their number is this, and then I'm not supposed to talk to you anymore, and then you hang up. But don't let them engage you in a conversation. You don't need to do that. Your income, Social Security, your pension is protected. You don't need to let these people get under your skin by trying to communicate with you. Just tell them to call us and then cease the communication. And then they'll give up and go on to greener pastures, better hunting grounds. They'll realize that you know what your rights are and you're not going to be able to pay it, and they're going to eventually leave you alone. Once again, it's not a big issue. Normal banks or normal lenders won't do that. Even if they're original creditor or they get our letter, they honor it. It's just that usually some of these high interest places, not all of them, some will, they get upset and they do that. So hopefully this helps, and helps. We represent seniors and disabled persons who have debt they can't afford to pay in order to stop collector harassment. We also educate seniors and disabled persons how they can maintain their financial independence. And you can learn more about Helps by visiting our website and click on our click to subscribe to our videos, and I think you'll find them helpful. You have a great day.